Venice, a magical city full of history, art and mystery. But in its narrow streets, among the shadows of the canals, dark secrets hide, some too terrifying to be told. Every year, thousands of people flock to the Venice Carnival, a spectacle of masks and costumes. But there's something few know. Some of those masks have witnessed unspeakable horrors. This is the story of a tourist who bought an ancient mask and unleashed a curse that would torment her to this day. February 2019. Laura, a Spanish tourist, wandered through the streets of Venice when she stumbled upon a small antique store almost hidden in an alley. There, among forgotten objects of time, she saw a mask that immediately caught her eye. It was white porcelain, cracked at the edges and decorated with golden threads. But the most unsettling thing was its expression, a barely perceptible smile, which seemed to mock anyone who stared at it too long. The old woman who owned the store initially refused to sell it to her. She said it belonged to Contessa Isabella Morante, a Venetian noblewoman from the 18th century who died mysteriously during Carnival. "It's cursed," the old woman whispered. "If you buy it, you'll never be able to get rid of it." But Laura didn't believe in superstitions and bought the mask anyway. Back at her hotel, Laura placed the mask on the nightstand and went to sleep. But in the early morning, something woke her up. When she opened her eyes, she saw a tall, thin shadow standing at the foot of her bed. She blinked, and the shadow vanished. Confused, she turned on the light and noticed something chilling. The mask was no longer on the table. It was on the floor, right next to her bed. But the most terrifying part was that its smile had grown wider. The following days were a nightmare. Every time Laura tried to get rid of the mask, it returned to her room. She began to hear whispers at night, footsteps in the hallway when no one else was in the hotel. One night, while looking at herself in the bathroom mirror, she saw something that took her breath away. Behind her, reflected in the mirror, there was a woman in an old Venetian dress, wearing the same mask. Laura turned immediately, but there was no one there. The final night in Venice was the worst. Laura woke up feeling a pressure on her neck, as if invisible hands were trying to strangle her. She scrambled out of bed and ran to the mirror, and when she saw her reflection, she felt true terror. There were finger marks on her neck, and the mask was now on her face. Laura fled Venice that same morning and left the mask in the hotel room. But when she arrived home in Spain, she received a message from the hotel. They asked if she had forgotten something in her room, because the mask was still there. But the most terrifying part was that the hotel owner claimed to have seen her wearing the mask the night before, even though Laura had already left the city. And you? What would you do if a mask followed you wherever you went? If you dare to hear more stories like this, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. And if you ever buy an ancient mask, make sure it's not watching you. Let me know in the comments if you've ever felt something watching you in the dark.